Welcome to PhoneRadar. This is Chetan and this is the video about the review of the Acer's Liquid E700 smartphone. This is a smartphone that comes with the triple SIM functionality. Yes, you get 3 SIM card slots in this and you can use 3 of them together. And the other special feature of this one is the 3500 mAh battery. So two things, this is exclusively available on Snapdeal. That is what you have to remember if you want to purchase this. And the second thing is it's a humongous battery. 3500 mAh in this kind of thickness is not that easy, but Acer has managed to do that, and that is a good part for you because you get to see a good battery life as well as a good 720p display. And that is where again you get to see that although the specs are not of high end, the 3500 mAh battery is something that would give you over a day's usage very easily. So this is a review where we will be talking about a lot of aspects about how Acer has managed to do this quite well, and in the final verdict you will get to know how good the smartphone is. Design wise, the Liquid E700 takes you back to the beginning of the Android smartphone era, where HTC had its HTC Dream phone with the bent top and bottom parts, and this is quite similar to that. And what you have seen in the E700 is the front and the front body having some curves to the front, and that is with the physical aspect, not the display and nothing else. And on the front, an earpiece, front facing camera with a flash are seen on the top above the screen, while below the screen you get to see the touch sensitive navigation keys, and there's a notification LED that stays inside the earpiece grill, and the grill in the bottom is for the speakers as the microphone is isolated and located towards the bottom panel. The back has the 8 megapixel camera with the LED flash and a button which Acer calls it as the Acer Rapid Key, and we'll talk about that later. The removable back cover shows the 3 SIM card slots. Yes, there are 3 SIM card slots in this smartphone, and that might be useful for some who don't want to have 2 smartphones separately with a dual SIM and a single SIM card slot. And these are all normal SIM card size, and this is a micro SD card slot, and the battery is non-repressible with the 3500 mAh capacity. The screen is curved, not with the curvature but with the shape, because on the top and bottom there's a bit of curve that you can notice on this clip, and it is a 720p 5-inch display underneath the screen. The viewing angles are not great, but they are not disappointing as well, and the color reproduction is good as well, except for some oversaturation that we see in some particular colors such as blue and white. The interface is well inspired from the Chinese brands, as you see the vibrant lock screen with animations and shortcuts. And what is different from those Chinese ROMs is that you find a complete app drawer with the sections for applications and widgets. So that is better than most of the ROMs such as the MIUI, Xiaomi's Amigo ROM as well as the Huawei's ROM, that where you don't see any app drawer, but there's one here. And a total of 9 home screens can be placed and used, but I doubt there might be a need for those many, because sometimes you might be happy enough with 3 to 4 of them. The Liquid E700 runs Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and there are some interesting features and apps pre-installed for the enhanced user experience. The camera on the back has an 8 megapixel lens, and although it isn't really fast in capture speed and as well as in the focusing, the end capture quality is appreciable, and Acer has managed to give options like HDR mode, continuous shot, favorite shot, smart denoise, noise reduction during recording videos, and the camera can capture videos with 1080p full HD resolution at 30 frames per second. Panorama, beautification, best shot, bright magic and such modes are also available if the scene modes and effects and the manual controls were not enough. So the camera application is full-fledged with a lot of options if at all you wanted to play around with it and come up with some good final captures. Rest of it you can judge by checking these camera samples that we are adding here. And some of the special features that I'm going to talk right now are something that puts the Acer Liquid E700 apart from the other smartphones. So the first one is the Acer Rapid Key that's located on the back just below to the camera. So that is something you had recently seen on the LG G3, G2 and those flagship smartphones, and this doesn't do the similar job there because those smartphones had the volume rocker and the power key on the back, but this is the Rapid Key that gives you a few shortcuts, such as a simple tap would give you an access to any of the preloaded app or any of the apps that you select to have, and a long press would open the camera application. And the same Acer Rapid Key can be used to take captures as well because it can act as a shutter key. There's a multitasking button that shows a simple option of clearing all the applications that are running, as well as a simple bottom bar that is there which would show you a few options and shortcuts to applications which can be used as a one-handed experience. The other good thing about this smartphone is the triple SIM functionality with the 3G connectivity. So for someone who doesn't have to use 2 or 3 smartphones with different SIM card slots, this one would be a savior because one smartphone having 3 SIM card slots is rare but useful sometimes. The next thing is the DTS Studio sound that you can notice on the back panel where it's written, but the actual effect is on the front facing speaker and that is located below the screen. The controls can be set to the maximum of 7 bass and 7 treble, but that is again based on how you wanted to experience the sound output. And there's also a glove operation mode for the display where you can have some extra sensitivity of the touch, and that is when you are in some cold conditions wearing the gloves and want the screen to respond to your touch. As far as the performance goes, the Acer Liquid E700 does quite well with the benchmark scores, getting about 18,700 points in the Antutu benchmark while 6,933 for the quadrant standard. And while multitasking, a very little but noticeable lag is seen, but again that is quite something that you should appreciate Acer for giving 2 GB of RAM, where you don't see an issue using multiple applications. Though there are lags, it doesn't totally close down the applications because there's a lot of RAM available for the user. The multitasking bar has the app cleaner that tries to enhance the performance, and it indeed is quite useful, but the performance is not up to the mark, at least for the price you're paying in the end. Browsing is decent both on Acer's default browser as well as on the Google's Chrome browser. The gaming is not bad either, with the Liquid E700 not breaking a sweat for most of the games, but for the overall experience of the gaming, it isn't the best for the reason that it doesn't load up graphics in every game in the same way. So before wrapping up, let me give you a list of the specifications. The first one is the 5-inch HD display and the MediaTek MT6582 processor along with Mali 400MB 2 GPU and 2 GB of RAM. Interestingly, it has a 3500 mAh battery which could give us more than a day's usage, and for the usage that I I had placed 2 SIM cards and ran them together with the data connectivity on one of them, and it gave me a total of 38 hours of usage before the battery went to zero. And for the standby, this was usually great because about 1 to 2% of battery was drained during the entire night. That's for about 10 to 11 hours, and that is when the network was on but the data network was turned off. And for the camera aspect, there's an 8 megapixel rear facing camera, and that is having an 1080p video recording capability, and the front facing shooting is not really bad, but for the given lens you should expect more than that because you have a flash given to it, and that would help in the low light conditions. Acer did try to bring in a lot of features from the high-end devices of other brands, even from the Galaxy Note 4 for the one-handed operation and the Acer Rapid Key taking inspiration from the LG's flagship series, although the functionality is not the same. So with that, we come to the final verdict of the Acer Liquid E700 smartphone review, and with the review we get to know that this is a smartphone that is well worth the price, because for Rs 12,000 you won't expect a 3500 mAh battery, 2 GB of RAM and some special features like this Acer Rapid Key, which is not common on most of the smartphones, and this has some good shortcuts for you. Again, this flash on the front facing camera, so that is again a useful thing for those who wanted to do some selfie photography, and if that was possible only with the flash in low light conditions, that is good for them. Although the camera, the front facing camera isn't really good, but still the flash would help them in the low light conditions. So in our verdict, we did like the Acer Liquid E700 for that price, but the availability might be an issue. But for those who have used Snapdeal earlier, it is quite an easy buy for them. So this was the review of the Acer Liquid E700 smartphone. Stay subscribed to PhoneRadar for more videos and reviews. Thank you.